Now, Natasha, are you still there? I'm a complete beginner who would like to know how to start off. Now, complete beginner, the first thing I would teach somebody when they come for a lesson, well, I guess the very first thing you do is grab the guitar and you just want it to rest. Obviously, you don't want the neck down or neck up, just nice and straight. That's the first thing, just so it's comfortable. And then I would get you to grab the pick. And if you haven't got a pick, you can just use your thumb. That's fine. All right, so there's a few more people jumping in with just some general direction to start off. So let me do a little bit of a beginner's crash course here. So grab your guitar, look like this. Grab your pick if you've got one. If you haven't got a pick, you can just use your thumb. And the very first thing I get you to do is get into the habit of strumming in fours, like counting 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because you'll find, it doesn't take long to play guitar and you realize that music works in bars, and especially pop songs, you'll generally play a chord for a bar and then change, or 2 bars, etc. But it'll be in that 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That sort of thing. You'll change a chord every bar. So when the 1 comes around as a new chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So once you're comfortable with that, we would add in this hand. Now the first chord, there's a thing called campfire guitar. There's 5 chords, and if you know these 5 chords, you can literally play pretty much any pop song, almost any song you can play with 5 chords, and our friend the capo. Now you don't need a capo for now, but what you need is the 5 chords, which we'll do now. The first chord is E minor, and it looks like this. This is pretty much the easiest chord to play on the guitar. Now, your second finger is going to go there on the 2nd fret. So this would be the 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, etc., etc. And just so you know, the frets are the actual silver metal bars that are in the guitar neck. So we put our fingers here, 2nd fret on this string, 2nd fret on this string. And what we want to be able to do is play all the 6 strings and have all those notes nice and clear. So one of the things you run into when you're first learning is getting those notes clear. And it's not about pressing down hard, it's about pressing down in the right spot. The closer to the fret, the easier it is to get the sound clear. If I come back here, that's no good. Closer to the fret, we get that nice clear sound. So is everyone following along with that? That's all good? I'm not going too fast. For the beginners, yep, all good. Jen, yes, great. Thank you, Jen, for the feedback. The feedback is very much appreciated. So that's the E minor chord. Now what I can do, what I should do, is I've already got these. I wonder if I can do that now, if I can share with you guys some stuff which will help you. Give me 7 seconds. While you practice that E minor chord, let me find something here on my computer. Guitar lessons. Guitar lessons. No, it's not going to let me do it. So, anyone game to show us your E minor, says Ness. But what I will do in the chat when we're finished here, I'll put in pictures of these 5 chords for the beginners. If you happen to forget, or even if you want to take a photo of the screenshot or take a screenshot, that is the E minor chord. That's our first of the 5 chords that we need to know. The next chord is super easy once you've got this chord, because all you do is drop down 1 string. So both fingers go down. So now you're on the 2 middle strings, the D and the A, or the G string, on the 2nd fret, and that is our A sus2 chord. So, if you were here in my room for a lesson, which all my lessons are online at the moment, but anyway, if you were here for a lesson, I would then get you to do with those 2 chords. We would go back to add the strum in, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, change 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, change 2, 3, 4. And obviously when you very first start, it's hard to change quickly, and that's what takes the practice and what we, have to work on. But that would be the first thing we'd work on, is to get those 2 chords moving. Generally, that's all you do in one half-hour guitar lesson if you're first starting out. That's sometimes people pick it up quicker than that, but generally that's pretty standard. So you'd go away for a week, you would get master that, and then we'd add the other chords in. But because of the way this is, we'll jump ahead and we'll add in the next 3 chords that we need. So the next chord we're going to learn, can you please explain why it's called that name? Any going and show E minor, Kim email, yep. I can play other instruments. I just struggle getting my head around the 6 strings and having multiple note locations. This is great. Thank you. Awesome, Natasha. Same here, Jen, Jessica. Awesome. That's good news. Someone's written, can you please explain why it's called that name, not a minor or a major? Natasha, do you mean why that's called E minor? Oh, a sus. Okay, what a sus chord is, they're not sus at all, they're great. A sus chord is short for substitute. So let's say, probably the easiest one to explain is a D chord. If that's a D major, this is a D major chord. To explain it, you've got to understand that chords, or in music theory, chords are made up of numbers. They're stacked. So a chord has a bass note on the bottom, which is the first note of the scale, the 3rd note of a scale, the 5th note of a scale. So the 1st note, 3rd note, and 5th note are all the notes in those chords. So that's got a 1st, a 3rd, and a 5th. That's got a 1st, a 3rd, and a 5th. A 1st, a 3rd, and a 5th. A 1st, a 3rd. Every chord, major or minor, has a 1st, 3rd, and a 5th. What a sus chord does, it substitutes the 3rd note, take the 3rd note out and substitute it with either the 2nd, because you can have a sus2, you can have a sus4. You can have any sus really, but sus2 and sus4 are the most common ones. So there's a D chord, which has the root note, which you can't see in my right hand, but this string is open, and that's the 1st note of the key. This note is actually the 5th note of the key. This is the 1st note of the key again, and then that's the 3rd note of the key. So for a D sus chord, we get rid of this one, we get rid of it, and we either add this one, which is common, the D sus4, what is it, how's it go? Or, and what's the other one that's a classic? I don't remember how to play it, but that's what D sus is common, and the A sus, I think it was what I might have mentioned before. So hopefully that answers your sus question. Short for substitute. So you're substituting the 3rd note of the chord for whatever the sus is, a 2nd or a 4th or a 5th, etc. Well, not a 5th, but yeah. Can we pick a campfire song to learn? We sure can. I hope that answers your question, Natasha. If you've got any more questions, certainly ask them away. Can I play my fave song? Ooh, man. Well, I really like stuff like sort of hillbilly yeehaw music. But I love all kinds of stuff. I love Fleetwood Mac. I grew up playing punk rock music. I love lots. Yeah, if it's good, it's good. I love it. Where would I just go? Personally, I want to learn how to play in key with different tunings, but I understand probably no one else does. That's cool, Lawrence Bray. We can get into that stuff. There's 4 weeks of this, and the week 1 was going to be more sort of beginner stuff, but it's hard, I'm basically I'm here to answer whatever you ask me. So we can definitely get into that stuff. Let me just keep on track here. Can we pick a campfire song to learn? That's a great one. You know, I think like Zombie by the Cranberries is a really good one to learn first. That's quite easy. There's a lot of Ed Sheeran songs that are really easy. Adele, and a lot of pop stuff's really easy. But I would say it doesn't really matter what the song is, because once you've got those 5 chords down, which we're going to get to the other 3 in a second, it's quite easy to pick up the songs. Once you learn those chords, I'll show you, for example, once we know the chords, it's quite easy to pick up different songs. So we did the E minor, the A sus2, and the D chord. Did we do the D chord? We didn't do the D chord yet. So for you playing at home, if you want to check that out, that is our D chord. I'm trying to move my fingers so you can see it. So what we've got here is a 2nd fret on the high E string, 3rd fret on the B string, and 2nd fret on the G string there. Now, really important when you're learning this chord is we don't want to hear these 2 low strings. Now, technically that can be in it, but this one is the one we want to use. We want to keep these 2 out of it for now. So we only want to strum those 4 strings. So that's our D chord. So campfire guitar songs, we've got E minor, the A sus2, the D chord. Now once we go back to, now we've got the last 2, which are the harder ones because you're using all 4 fingers. G chord, one of the most played guitar chords on the guitar. That's our G chord. Now this one, we're going to use our pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string, 3rd fret of the B string. This next string, the G string here, is open. We don't put a finger on it. This one is open. We don't put a finger on it. And then these next 2, we've got 2nd fret on the A string and 3rd fret on the big E string. And I would say just pay attention to the finger placement. Notice I'm not, how can I do that? I'm not back there. I'm snug up against the fret. The closer to that fret, without being on top of it, the better. Close to that fret will make it much easier to get those sounds nice and clear. And with this chord, we're playing all the strings, the G chord. And if we drop down, so that's our G chord. And if we drop these 2 fingers down a string, that's our last chord, the C add 9 chord. So C add 9 and G. And you would have heard that a million times. Etc. There's so many. Like I could just go on for days with all cool songs that do that. So let me just, Sean's already beat me to it. So G, C minor, sus2, or A minor, D is kind of the main ones. Let you learn nearly every pop song, which is 100% true. So the chords, campfire chords, it's open. Campfire chords are E minor, G, C add 9, D, A sus2. I'm just going to drop this in the chat just so you've got that. And then what I will do is I'll put up pictures of them. Like so. Now, I actually love the music theory stuff, as I never got formal training. Instead, I got really good at chords and just learned a bunch of songs and scales. Yeah, that's cool. Person want to learn in key. I already read that one. Yep, very explained very well. Okay, so how's everyone feeling? Does that make... do you want me to go over any of that again, or is that all good? Any more questions? Anything you're wanting to talk about? Let me know. Makes sense. Good. Jen, thanks for hanging out. Jen and Sean, Ness, Tab. We don't condone gambling here. Sorry, Ness. We don't go to the tab. No. Now, can you recommend a simple song to learn this week's work on? Yeah, 1000%. These are good questions. Now, what I wanted to show was, for example, with this campfire guitar thing, I was going to show you this. So if you can take a screenshot of that, or I can, and I can send it to you guys. I wonder if I can just pop that in the chat right now. They're the 5 chords we just talked about. You can notice I've got A minor written on the screen, which is a bit contradictory to what I just said. I said to do this one, the A sus2, but don't worry about that. If you, stick to A sus2. A minor is, we'll get to that later. But there are 5 campfire chords. Now, I just dropped that picture in the chat, that's a good one for you. Campfire chords with 5 chords. And then songs. I reckon, there's millions of, maybe not millions, thousands of songs we could choose. This is a really good one because the strumming's really easy to when you start off. So this song, Zombie by the Cranberries, does anyone know that song? I'm sure you've heard it. If not, you can check it out. But it's a really good one to start with. Now, it is a fantastic song, says Sean Burtson. Now, from Daisy, any good songs? Yeah, for sure. For electric guitar, we go. Seven Nation Army's a great one, like little riffs, that type of thing. Which, let's come back to that. So Zombie. Okay, so we talked about, so say, you've learnt your chords. Next step is to add in the right hand. Now see down the bottom here, you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We talked earlier about getting in the habit of 4 strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we're doing with Zombie is we're adding in an extra strum. So we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I'll just drop back to this screen for a second. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... That's what Zombie sounds like. So with the strum, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Really, really important when strumming. We don't want every strum to be the same. We need to create some dynamics, some low, high volumes, peaks and troughs, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to be a full strum. We're going to hit all the strings, but the ands, we're only going to hit the one string, which sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, rather than 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. See, if we do that, we lose the groove of the song. So we've got the... like so. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and etc. Make a sense? So for the beginners, learn those chords off by heart. Like obviously, it might take a few days or whatever. Get those chords off by heart and just get used to changing them first. E minor. It doesn't matter what order you do, just keep playing through them. Pardon me. And if we were doing one-on-one lessons, I would say to you next week, or say you jump on next week for next week's session, I would want you to know those chords off by heart. So I can say to you, play me a C add 9 chord, and you could go, yep. Play me a D chord, got it. Play me a G chord, etc. You get that? That's the first step. And then being able to change the chords quick, that varies on how long it takes you to get that. You might get it by next week. It might take a few weeks. It might take 4 weeks. But just know the chords off by heart, know what they are, and try and change them quickly, which just comes from practice.